serious? Rippers of Reddit. What do you really think of the people that see you perform? Former Ripper. I absolutely loved working with guys were nice and respected my time and boundaries. They truly make the job fun and I would show my appreciation by making the dance a little wilder. If a guy would try and talk to me forever and not get a dance, I was offended. I always said my conversation was priceless and they should be paying me double just to talk. Or try and get me to see him outside without spending money. If a guy spent a lot on me I wouldn't mind meeting him for a drink after work to spend some time talking. Or try and grab at me, I would truly look down on him. I had guys who were straight up abusive a few times and that's not fun. I had guys that were into haggling as a Rexalink and that was shitty. I hated it when they'd try and get a 2 for 4 discount. Like dude, I'm a hot chick taking my clothes off between your legs. Please don't insult me by saying $20 is too much for the privilege. My favorite customers were the ones that wanted to have actual fun. One guy ordered us a pizza and taught me karate moves. One guy just wanted to smoke mead and play Mario 3 on a Game Boy. One guy would pay me to tell jokes on stage. I had a guy in a wheelchair just wanted to have some wild chicks show him a good time. They stand out to me all this time later because they made the job fun and joyful. Mostly it was depressing creeps but there were some real sweethearts in there and I still think of them with affection. Ex-stripper here. Most of them were cool. We had one old guy named Cummer Steve that would get dances from the new girls and whip his rick out and nut in their hair. He always had $300 in his wallet that he would hand over before they made him leave. Occasionally a Roush bag would come in but they got handled pretty quickly. I once had a guy hold up a $5 bill and ask what he could get for that. I cheerfully snatched it out of his hand and told him that he could watch my butt as I walked away. Edited for more context as some people are super riled up about the $5. This guy grabbed my butt as I walked by. I suspect it wasn't the first time he'd done it. I shoved his hand away from my body and told him that if he wanted a dance, they started at $10. He then held up the $5 and asked what he could get for that. His options at that point were pretty much get punched in the rick by someone, curb stomped on his way out by the guys at the door, or lose $5. I think his friends were relieved as he had been a total a-hole all night and he behaved himself after that and no one got kicked out. I hope they like what I'm doing and that they spend a lot of money on me, and we have a good time. About as much as I've thought about the people I interact with in any other service job. Sometimes guys seem lonely or delusional and that can be hard to deal with but otherwise as long as you aren't smelly, prejudiced, pushy or wearing sweatpants you're good with me. Depends on the person. I've had stalkers follow me home. Creeps who tried to get violent with me at work. People who pissed me off. I've also met some really wonderful people I'm fine with calling my friends. I just had a baby and invited 2 ex-customers to my baby shower in June. Ex-male ripper here. The customers? It depends. In general, I saw a lot of lonely people. I never felt too bad for them because dancing is a humbling experience. I mean, after all I'm the one dancing for money. I don't think I ever looked down on them either. Also saw a lot of creepy people. When I first started dancing, other dancers would help me out in situations with the creepier customers. I had an older gentleman who you could say stalked me for a bit. My first interaction with him was holding his hand while I danced and he put money in my G-string. A co-worker of mine grabbed my hand and pulled me away. They would also walk me out to my ride because he used to wait outside and proposition me for further activities. I always declined. Creepy people come in all forms. I think the worst ones are the good looking customers that know they are good looking and they have a lot of money so they think they can get away with anything. I've lost some considerable size tips from telling people like that to frick off. Edit 2. I'd also have to mention I did the whole thing about an hour away from where I grew up. I always had this funny thought in the back of my head like what if my friends and classmates saw me now? Was a fun industry. Glad I'm out. Ex-ripper here. Of course I encountered all different types, but I am here to mention one type in particular, my favorite. There were a lot of customers who were lonely, or didn't have anyone to talk to who would really listen to them. They figured out that they could come in and pay for company. I would sit at the table with one of my regulars for a few hours and just talk. I made a point of showing that I valued them as a person and was genuinely interested in their conversation. He knew that he was taking up my time, and every so often would hand me another bill. I didn't pity them. I respected them for figuring out a way to engage with other humans and satisfy their need for connection. Ex-rapper. The guys that came in and knew the deal were great. Tip the girl on stage. Get a lap dance. Be polite. The worst were the guys that thought they were smarter than the strippers or that they could somehow game us. Like, one guy I remember went on a whole rant about how smart he was because he could tell it was all fake and the girls weren't really attracted to the men. Yeah dude, you're a genius. Or when they think they're funny by degrading the women. It's not funny and you're the one that looks bad. Honestly, for the most part I didn't think about the guys much at all. I was on autopilot most of the time and didn't judge them any more than thinking who looks interested in a private dance or who was a roucher bag I wanted to avoid. Generally depends on what kind of customer that person is really. The best kind is the dude who understands that it is all a game. They tip well, they are sociable and polite, may even be regulars with certain girls and are never a problem. The entire club staff loves guys like this. The ones that the dancers hate? The I don't pay for dances guy who thinks that line will somehow make him desirable for dancers? Captain Save-A-Ho. His trademark line goes something like, "You are too beautiful, smart, amazing to be doing this. If you get with me you can leave this behind." The pimps that go around asking the girls if they want to make some real money are real pieces of shit as well. Then there was the ones that I really had a personal dislike for, the dudes who would try and wait in the parking lot at the end of the night because Cinnamon and I really had a connection, you know. She told me to wait for her. No she didn't, buddy. If Cinnamon told you that, she did so knowing that I would be kicking everybody out of the parking lot before the dancers left for the evening. The strip club industry is a weird place. Source: longtime strip club bouncer. I've dated like 4 strippers, some for a few years. I think their opinions were mostly that the dudes were chill. There were the he tried to shove his finger in my assy so I broke it nights. The he got a champagne room for 3 hours with 3 girls and fell asleep so we got drunk type nights. Indian dude seemed to do the weirdest shit. A couple dudes just got naked in the lap dance booth or champagne room and got kicked out. Nah, my girlfriend said she left for less than a minute to check in with the bouncer and returned and the dude was naked and had nicely folded his clothes next to him. Weirdly sweet but horrifying. They threw him out naked. The thing I noticed though is that after a few years most of them really started to low-key hate men. It's just generally they get exposed to men continually at their worst or most horny. I think it ended up being toxic. My girlfriend used to be a p***er. From what she's told me, as long as you're respectful and polite they aren't thinking much about you at all. More likely to be thinking about what they're gonna have for dinner later. Was male tripper for a bit. My opinion, it's all types for all reasons. Passing judgment on folks generally just makes you less approachable. There are good folks who like gyrating naked people but are awkward socially and have lots of money. Creepy is still creepy. Considerate is still considerate. Only difference is I'm not wearing pants. You get your share of creeps, but mostly where I worked, a long time ago, a lot of young groups of guys just looking for a good time. Every once in a while you have someone who has too good of a time and gets rowdy and acts like an idiot. Granted, I only work 2 to 3 nights a week. People who dance full time, especially during the day, have a whole different kind of crowd to deal with. But customers are generally all the same, just looking for something to distract them from life for a while. Feels like a lifetime ago that I danced. My husband and I go together now every once in a while to get a private dance for a while, and it's way more fun being on the other side. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is simply watch the videos. But if you really want to see the channel thrive, subscribe, like, comment, add to favorites, add to playlist, and share with friends. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Reddit and Insta. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you with tomorrow's upload.